Another child is dead, another family shattered, another community demanding answers. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority is investigating the fatal shooting of a 14-year-old boy in Kisauni, Mombasa. This incident, occurring in the volatile Mombasa Republican Council hotspot of Kwashibu, is a critical test for police accountability in Kenya. It forces us to confront the brutal, recurring tragedy of youthful lives cut short by state violence. Why does this keep happening? Who is ultimately responsible when a child is killed? The community's version of events is starkly different from the initial police narrative, highlighting a deep and dangerous trust deficit. This isn't just a Mombasa story. This is a Kenyan story. It's about every parent's fear and every citizen's right to security and justice. The IPOA probe is now the focal point, a mechanism designed to provide impartial oversight, but one that often operates under intense public scrutiny and skepticism. The outcome will resonate far beyond the coastal region, speaking to the very health of our democracy and the rule of law. The details are heartbreaking. On the day of the incident, police from the Kisauni police station were conducting an operation. They were pursuing suspected members of the banned Mombasa Republican Council, a group with a history of separatist sentiment and violence in the region. According to the official police report, they encountered armed suspects who opened fire. An exchange ensued, and during this confrontation, the 14-year-old boy was shot and killed. Police stated they recovered a homemade pistol from the scene, implying the juvenile was an armed combatant. This is the narrative presented to justify the use of lethal force. However, the community and the boy's family tell a profoundly different story. They vehemently deny he was armed or involved with any criminal group. They describe him as a child caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Witnesses allege the shooting was not a product of a chaotic exchange, but a more deliberate act. This contradiction is the core of the controversy. It is the reason IPOA's investigation is not a routine administrative step, but a vital truth-seeking mission. The authority must forensically examine the scene, interview independent witnesses, analyze ballistic evidence, and determine which version of events aligns with the physical facts. Did the circumstances truly warrant deadly force, as per the National Police Service guidelines? Was there an imminent threat to the lives of the officers or the public? These are the threshold questions IPOA must answer. The community's anger is palpable. Kwashibu and Wider Kisauni have long been areas marked by tension between security forces and local youth. Poverty, unemployment, and historical marginalization create fertile ground for recruitment by groups like the MRC. Police operations in such areas are inherently complex and volatile. The strategy has often been criticized as overly militarized, focusing on suppression rather than addressing root socio-economic grievances. This incident is seen not as an isolated tragedy, but as the latest chapter in a painful history. The family is left to bury a son, a brother, a friend. Their grief is compounded by the cloud of allegations hanging over his name. Being labeled a criminal or a terrorist sympathizer in death adds a layer of profound injustice to their loss. They seek not just answers, but vindication of his memory. The economic impact on this family is immediate and severe. The loss of a potential future breadwinner, the costs of a funeral, the psychological trauma that may prevent other family members from working, these are the tangible, devastating consequences. But the impact ripples outward. For the community, every such incident deepens the cycle of mistrust. When residents view police not as protectors but as predators, cooperation evaporates. Intelligence dries up. Community policing initiatives fail before they start. This environment makes genuine crime fighting harder and perpetuates instability. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where heavy-handed tactics are deemed necessary to control a population increasingly hostile to the state's presence. The social implications are a national wound. Each questionable shooting, particularly of a minor, erodes the social contract. Young people across Kenya, especially in informal settlements and historically restive regions, internalize a message: the state does not protect you, it fears you and may kill you. This alienation is dangerous for any society. It fuels resentment and can, ironically, drive recruitment into the very gangs and extremist groups the police aim to dismantle. Furthermore, it normalizes violence. When state actors are perceived to use lethal force with impunity, it sets a terrible precedent, contributing to a broader culture of violence where life is cheap. The IPOA investigation carries the weight of breaking or reinforcing this cycle. Kenyans are watching. Will the investigation be thorough and transparent? Will its findings be made public in a timely manner? If wrongdoing is found, will recommendations for prosecution or disciplinary action be acted upon? IPOA's mandate is strong on paper, but its effectiveness has often been hampered by logistical constraints, limited funding, and occasional resistance from within the police service. A credible process here is essential. It must be swift to address the community's urgent demand for justice, but also meticulous to ensure its conclusions are unassailable. Beyond this specific case, this tragedy forces a national conversation about police reform, the use of force protocols, and the treatment of juveniles in conflict with the law. Kenya has robust legal frameworks regarding children's rights. The Constitution and the Children's Act are clear. How are these being operationalized in the heat of a police operation in Kisauni? Training must be incessantly reinforced. De-escalation tactics, non-lethal crowd control options, and the fundamental principle of proportionality must be at the forefront of every officer's mind. The economic cost of these tragedies is also a national drain. Resources spent on investigations, potential lawsuits, and heightened security operations in the aftermath are resources diverted from development, education, and